Tonight on Reporting Scotland, Donald Trump is back, sworn in for the second time as the President of the United States of America.
Faithfully execute
the office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States.
We'll take a look at what it could mean for Scotland and hear from Scots and Americans on both sides of the pond. Also on tonight's programme, a BBC investigation finds 9 women complained to police in the years before Tinder predator Christopher Harkins was caught. A family calls for a woman's suicide to be reinvestigated over her partner's abusive behaviour.
We believe, without even saying it out loud, we believe he murdered our daughter.
And still to come, the King meets one of the last surviving veterans of the D-Day landings. He was in Aberdeen, where he spent time with 99-year-old Jim Glennie.
Coming up in the sport, there's a huge injury blow for Scotland ahead of their Six Nations campaign, starting in less than 2 weeks.
Hello, I'm Laura Miller. Welcome to Monday's programme. Nine women have revealed their failed attempts to report one of Scotland's most prolific romance fraudsters to police in the years before he was finally arrested. Christopher Harkins was jailed for a series of crimes against 10 women in July last year, but a BBC investigation has found that women were reporting him to the police as far back as 2012. He carried on offending until 2020. Katrina McPhee has this report.
A jet-setting, business-owning gym rat. Going by his online dating profile, Christopher Harkins seemed like a dream date. In reality, he was a serial romance fraudster, abuser and rapist.
One of the most difficult things about dating apps is you can be whoever you want to be.
Lisa, that's not her real name, matched with Harkins in 2019 and they began dating. He soon asked her to transfer more than £3,200 for a romantic holiday that never existed.
I felt like an idiot. I phoned the police and the police had asked me to come in. I went to the desk and she kind of dismissed me and said, well, there's not really much we can do if your boyfriend doesn't want to take you on holiday now. I didn't feel at that stage I was being taken seriously at all.
In July last year, Harkins was jailed for abusing and scamming more than £214,000 from 10 women. He was also convicted of rape. Our investigation can reveal that 9 women say they reported him to police as far back as 2012. Their reports were not taken forward at the time. Harkins carried on offending until 2020.
The sheer number of people that came forward, I just think there must have been a way that it could have been stopped before it was.
Early identification of financial abuse is incredibly important. We know from research at the moment is that financial abuse is oftentimes the first form of abuse, and then other forms of abuse follow, such as your physical or perhaps your sexual abuse as well. So the impact it has when you come forward and you do finally make that big step to disclose and then are shut down, as it were, you see women no longer seeking support.
Harkins was jailed in July, 12 years after the first report was made to police. DCI Lindsay Laird led the police investigation.
The previous reports that were made, there was no reports of physical or sexual abuse ever made to the police at that time. It was mainly around the financial situation.
We know of one woman who reported multiple frauds. In 2014, we were told that there was physical abuse reported by 2 women. In 2015, 2 further reports. In 2018, 3 in 2019. All totally independent from each other. They didn't know there were other victims. So, can you see how there may have been missed opportunities?
They've obviously been dealt with in isolation, and that's probably one of the issues, that they've not been pulled together. But again,
should they have been?
It depends on how you look at it and the information available to officers at the time. They were obviously investigated to the best of their ability at that particular time. With everything that we've put in place since then, I would hope that that experience wouldn't be replicated now.
We can reveal Harkins may have abused many more women, bringing the total to at least 23. And there are further allegations of fraud totalling £53,000.
He got 12 years. I think it's the least that he deserves. I was just so relieved for everybody that had stood up and, you know, told their story, that hopefully it would take them off the streets for quite a long period of time.
Katrina McPhee reporting there, and you can watch that BBC Disclosure investigation Matched with a Predator at BBC iPlayer now, or right here on BBC One tonight at 8 p.m. Now, Donald Trump has been sworn in as the 47th President of the United States of America, and leaders around the world are trying to work out what his second presidency will mean for them. Trump has close ties with Scotland. His mother was born and brought up in Lewis in the Western Isles, and the First Minister has vowed to use those links to avoid the prospect of tariffs being applied on Scottish imports to the US. That situation will become clearer in the coming days. But let's get the thoughts now of our business and economy editor, Douglas Fraser. Douglas, what about those tariffs then? We know Donald Trump has been speaking at his inauguration. What more do we know about his intentions there?
Well, if we go back to the first Trump presidency, it hit the Scotch whisky industry quite hard with tariffs. That's to say a tax on goods as the goods enter the United States. That was caught up in a dispute over Airbus and Boeing aircraft manufacturing. Now, since then, although that dispute's finished, since then candidate Donald Trump has talked a lot more about tariffs, about using tariffs to raise money and to get influence. Now, today's speech made it sound like foreigners would be paying these tariffs with higher prices, and that would be going to the American people. But probably not going to be quite like that. Foreigners like us in Scotland will instead be hit by lower demand from American consumers if those American consumers are facing higher prices because of the tariffs. And there's a risk of that inflation of prices there picking up and being itself exported to other economies, including our own. Now, the USA, it's an important market for Scottish exporters. That includes whisky, farmed salmon, textiles, buses, software, financial services, even Halloween party costumes. Now, they don't face 20% tariffs immediately, as they were warned in advance. No, the newly installed 47th United States president says his administration is going to examine tariffs. Now, that confirms the view that this is a threat hanging over all America's trading partners, including its close allies. And it's a bargaining chip for deal-making, which is Donald Trump's way of doing government business. The tariff threat can be removed if you do what Donald Trump wants, in other words. And for the UK, that could mean some uncomfortable requirements to support the new Trump global order in opposing China, for instance, in the Middle East, perhaps. Even the clear statement today about the Panama Canal, that America is taking it back. And now Scotland is in a special place in the affections of Donald Trump. Now, his mother came, as you said, from the Isle of Lewis. He's invested in golf here, but it's not likely to be a high priority for his administration. And frankly, nor is the UK as a whole. The impact on us here is much more likely, I think, to be felt in the international volatility there is, the change that we'll see in global markets, inflation, in a lot more oil and gas being drilled. That could push down prices of energy, in the power of big technology firms, and in the security of Europe, on which we heard no commitment today at all from Donald Trump.
Douglas, so lots of people will be watching very closely in the coming days. But how do you think the Scottish and the UK governments intend to deal with this Trump presidency 2.0, if you like, and how do they tend that relationship?
Well, they had 4 years' experience before, and what they experienced was its unpredictability, not quite knowing what the president's going to do from one day to the next, which made it really quite exhausting to keep up. And I think much of the administration found that in Washington as well. I think that the trick, if it is a trick, is to try to get alongside, if not the president, then the people around him who have his ear, who can influence him. These people change from time to time. They move in and out of favour, and that is a tricky problem for the people representing our interests in Washington and around the world and trying to influence them. But I think the important thing to keep in mind is that he is at heart a deal maker. Individual deals, they don't always have to match up and make sense together, but he wants to cut deals which are to his advantage, and he understands that the other side will be looking for some gains as well. But America very much in the dominant position today.
Well, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts, Douglas Fraser, business and economy editor. Lots of people watching very closely in the coming days, you included. Thank you, Douglas. And they are going to be talking more about Donald Trump's inauguration and what his presidency might mean over on Reporting Scotland News at 7 on the BBC Scotland channel in just a moment. Amy is here to tell us more. Amy, who are you going to be hearing from then?
Hi Laura. Well, as Douglas was just saying there, I think the details on tariffs will certainly become clearer in the coming days, but we're going to be looking at what it might mean for Scotland. So we're going to be joined by an American politics expert from Glasgow University and also a small independent distillery owner from the Isle of Mull who has concerns clearly about what it could mean for the whisky industry if there are any tariffs imposed that would affect Scotland. As well as that, we're getting a look inside Castle Bay Community School, which is on Barra, and was first identified 15 years ago as needing repairs, but we get a glimpse inside where there is crumbling walls, there's mould, there's water leaks. So we see exactly what the situation is there. And we're also looking at why more people, Laura, are deciding to run off to Gretna Green to get married than ever before.
Well, I'm sure you will be telling us the answer. Thank you very much. Quite a mix as ever, Amy. Thank you.
Thanks.
And that is Reporting Scotland News at 7 over on the BBC Scotland channel. Shortly, here is where you can find it. All the details on your screen now, and it is also on BBC iPlayer. To some of the day's other stories now. And a 19-year-old man has been charged in connection with the death of a man following a disturbance in Paisley. Emergency services were called to the Foxbar area of the town at 4:15 on Saturday afternoon. 21-year-old Robert McNally was found seriously injured and was pronounced dead at the scene. The 19-year-old was taken to hospital for treatment and was later discharged. He's expected to appear at Paisley Sheriff Court. Ross County say they're appalled by the behaviour of a small section of the home crowd during a minute's silence at their Scottish Cup fourth round match against Livingston on Saturday. Flares were set off and there was jeering during the tribute to the former Scotland and Manchester United striker Dennis Law and former county player Gordon Seaton. The club said they are investigating with the police and prosecutions and bans could follow. And former Justice Secretary Kenny McCaskill is to stand against MSP Ash Regan for the leadership of the Alpha Party. Mr McCaskill has served as interim leader since the death of the party's founder Alex Salmond in October. Moira Salmond has endorsed him to succeed her late husband. The contest is expected to take place in the next few weeks ahead of an Alpha conference in March. The family of a young mum who died 4 years ago are demanding police open up an investigation over claims her death might not have been suicide. Demi Hannaway died after being the subject of physical and mental abuse at the hands of her partner. He was jailed last year after admitting threatening and abusive behaviour towards Demi. Our reporter Gordon Blackstock has been talking to Demi's mum Helen.
You knew when Demi arrived, put it that way. She was just the life and soul of everything. Demi always had her children with her. You know, they were just glued to her hip. You know, she was just amazing, amazing mum.
Demi Hannaway was just 23 when she was found dead in her Airdrie home. Police had been called by her partner Andrew Brown, who says he found the mum dead in their bedroom. Officers said it was suicide after finding a note, but her family now say police made their decision too quickly.
As soon as they went in, their mind was made up. They didn't even look for anything, any evidence at all. They just took his word for it and that was it.
After her death, her family began piecing together her final days, trying to make sense over why she would kill herself, with attention turning to a changing account from Brown.
He told us different stories. Nothing was adding up. He was telling other people different versions. Again, nothing was adding up. He had turned and told one of the attending officers, that he said himself, "This is my fault." And the police didn't even ask him, "What do you mean by that?"
Helen and her family would discover that Demi's life had been marred by horrific abuse from Brown.
We thought he was a great guy. You know, as I say, we treated him like a son. We were absolutely shocked when we found out how he was treating her. 2 weeks previous to her death, he obviously attacked Demi, and Demi had told her sister that he strangled her to the point he thought he was going to kill her.
After her death, the family say they found evidence of a violent struggle in the home.
There were no forensics done, there were nothing at all. They just went in, made up their mind and left.
The family were able to retrieve messages and photos from Demi that saw the Crown Office charge Brown with threatening and abusive behaviour. He was jailed last year for 43 months, but her family now say police should investigate whether Brown was directly involved in her death.
We believe, without even saying it out loud, and we believe he murdered our daughter.
In a statement, a spokesman for Police Scotland said it had received a complaint which was being progressed and it was inappropriate to comment further while this was ongoing.
We feel as if the police have tried to silence us. Well, we're not being silenced anymore.
And that was Gordon Blackstock reporting there. And if you have been affected by any of the issues, you can phone BBC Action Line. The number is there for you on the screen now. Details of organisations offering support can also be found on the Action Line website. Well, let's return to that top story now, the inauguration of Donald Trump as the 47th President of the United States. Hope Webb has been gauging reaction here.
A historic day for a country divided.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
Trump today returns to the White House to become the 47th US president. But his repeat appointment has worldwide implications, including here in Scotland. He's promised to introduce tariffs to all US imports.
Instead of taxing our citizens to enrich other countries, we will tariff and tax foreign countries to enrich our citizens.
President Trump was elected for his first time in 2016. We worked successfully with him then, so we're looking forward to making the most of what we can of the strong relationships. The US is our single biggest export market. We sell over £6 billion worth of goods into the US, so we look forward to working constructively with President Trump.
An election charged with emotive language has also taken its toll. Gabrielle and her husband left Glasgow for Florida 2 years ago, but they're already considering a move back to Scotland after experiencing racism.
Here it's always, oh, where are you from? Where are you actually from? Is your family legal? You know, very offensive and highly ignorant questions just based on lack of exposure and knowledge of other groups. But I think we live in a world right now where we have access to so much information. And I don't really think it's an excuse anymore to say I didn't have exposure.
Rachel moved here from Florida 8 years ago. She's currently at loggerheads with her family over their political views.
It's been frustrating. I feel a bit helpless because I'm over here and I can't really do a lot as far as going around and getting the word out. So I can just shout as loud as I can on social media and try and get the family back home to maybe see sense.
Justin is originally from the States but now lives in Fife with his wife and 4 children. He's an independent and is now hoping for healing.
We want the best for America and for everybody that's living there, whether you're Democrat or Republican or independent or whatever it is. Just want people to have an opportunity to have a happy life and be able to raise their families in peace.
So help me God. So help me God. Congratulations, Mr. President.
Trump was this afternoon sworn into office using 2 Bibles, one a gift from his mother, who was born and lived on the Isle of Lewis, a sign of the undeniable links between Scotland and the now leader of the free world. Hope Webb reporting Scotland.
Now, Jim Glennie was just a lad of 18 when he took part in the D-Day landings. Now, at the age of 99, he's one of that operation's last surviving veterans. Today, he met King Charles again, and his words to the monarch, long time no see. Rachel Bell reports.
No stranger to the museum, this is the King's first visit as monarch. A chance to see the latest renovations and meet staff and volunteers. There to greet him, a familiar face.
Long time no see.
D-Day veteran Jim Glennie, a volunteer here.
I was so pleased to see your painting
Oh,
and portrait here.
Do you like it?
Absolutely. No, it looks terrific.
Ah, yes.
This portrait of Jim is a new addition to the museum, on loan from the Royal Collection, part of a series commissioned by the then Prince of Wales. Private Jim Glennie was just 18 years old when he landed on the beach at Normandy on the 6th of June 1944.
This is it. They're on the beach.
One of tens of thousands of Allied troops who took part in the largest air and sea invasion in history. A week later, he was injured and taken to a prisoner of war camp.
I remember I was only 18. Yes, I was wounded and captured. And I spent my 19th birthday getting into Stalag 4B.
Jim has been volunteering at the Gordon Highlanders Museum since its creation, sharing his personal experience of the war.
Jim had some harrowing times, but his generosity in sharing his stories, I think, is a lesson for us all. He really is quite remarkable, and at the age of 99, we're very, very lucky to have him still volunteering here.
You are amazing, because I hear you're 99 now.
I'll be 100 in August.
You see?
Yes.
I shall. Don't worry, the message on its way, I promise.
With his 100th birthday ahead, Jim is showing no signs of retiring from the museum quite yet. Are you still going to volunteer?
Oh yes, I'm still a volunteer here. And I kick my own jet.
Rachel Bell, reporting Scotland, Aberdeen.
Remarkable Jim Glennie there. OK, let's get tonight's sport now with Lewis. And we're almost at that time of year, Six Nations time, with some bad news for Scotland.
I don't want to be bringing you that news, Laura. Absolutely,
go
2
away.
weeks to go. But unfortunately, we have to talk about it. Bad news indeed. Thanks very much, Laura. Hello there. Well, it is also a huge night of football in Tayside. We're going to get to that in a moment, but we do start with rugby news and a big blow to Scotland's Six Nations hopes, because captain Sione Tuipulotu has been ruled out of the championship due to injury. The Glasgow Warriors centre will require surgery on a pectoral injury he picked up while training with his club last week. The timing couldn't be worse, as Tuipulotu has emerged as one of the top centres in the sport, and Scotland's opening match against Italy is less than 2 weeks away. The 27-year-old Glasgow's teammate Scott Cummings has also been ruled out of the competition with an arm injury.
It really is just a horror story, for Scotland's chances. I'm just so gutted for him, but also for us not to see Scotland going to be at their best, because he undoubtedly is one of the best players in the world at the moment, without a doubt. And so to lose that is devastating. I'm still confident that Scotland can have a good Six Nations and be in the mix. Clearly not as confident as I was if Sione had been fit.
Well, to the football now, and 15 teams are already in the draw for the 5th round of the Scottish Cup, with one more to join them later tonight. But will it be Dundee or Dundee United? Dens Park plays host to what is quite literally the closest rivalry in football, and Brian McLaughlin is there.
Yes, good evening from a rather chilly Dens Park, but the football on show tonight should certainly warm us up. It's a concluding tie in this season's 4th round Scottish Cup, and it's Dundee taking on not only their city rivals but their street rivals from Tannadice Street, Dundee United. The pair met here a little over 2 weeks ago. That was in the Premiership, and a Sam Dalby goal in the 90th minute secured all 3 points for United. Let's hear from one man who's played in both camps and what he thinks about how this tie could end up tonight.
This is a massive rivalry, and you go and speak to any Dundee United fan or any Dundee fan, believe me, they want nothing more than to win this derby tonight. What it doesn't have is it doesn't have any of the stupidness with it. So what you'll tend to find is in pubs afterwards you'll have Dundee fans and Dundee United fans sitting having a drink together. That you might not see that in different derbies throughout Scotland, but it's a massive derby. Every single person wants the bragging rights going to work tomorrow to go and slag their mates who's on the losing team.
A crowd of just over 10,000 expected here at Dens Park this evening. One thing is for sure, we will have a winner, because if it's a draw after 90 minutes, we'll have extra time, and if they still can't be separated, we'll go to a penalty shootout, and the draw will be made immediately at the end of this game. The match is live on BBC Radio Scotland. The kick-off is 8 o'clock. Live updates on the BBC Sport Scotland website, and the highlights are on BBC One tonight at 11:10.
Well, thousands of fans of both clubs will be heading to Dens Park shortly, and the derby has been the talk of the town all day. We caught up with fans of both sides for their thoughts on tonight's match.
A United fan, but I'm quite nervous tonight. Dundee have been playing well, but I could see United winning 2 or 3-1.
I support Dundee. I'm just looking forward to getting a victory after the one a few weeks ago. It was obviously disappointing losing the late goal, so I'm just hoping for a bit better tonight.
United will win. They always do it then, so can't wait. The derby's great for the city. I mean, my best friend's a Dundee fan, so he'll be there. Don't see him on the day, but we'll see them after it.
Dundee, I'm looking forward to it. Off the back of the last few games, we should be going into it confident. Yeah, anything can happen though.
It can indeed. And now the Scottish FA have appointed Michael McArdle as women's national team head coach on an interim basis while they continue their search for a permanent successor to Pedro Martinez Losa. McArdle, who is the head of women's elite football at Hampden, will be in the dugout for Nations League games next month against Austria and the Netherlands. And that is the sport from me tonight, Laura.
Thank you. Busy one. Thanks,
Indeed.
Lewis. Busy with the weather here too, Judith. It's coming towards us another storm, I believe.
Bless you.
Yes.
Shall I take over? A nice calm picture there. And actually the first part of the week is looking calm, but at least the sunsets are getting a wee bit later, thankfully. Very good evening to you. Yes, indeed. It is a quiet start to the new working week. But by the time we reach the end of the week, we're in for a really stormy spell of weather as things stand. It is one to keep up to date with the forecast for, and we will guide you through that during the coming week. But as far as tonight's concerned, a lot of dry weather initially, clear skies in the east, a weak weather front bringing thicker cloud into the west with some showery rain embedded within it as well. That starts the journey south and east, with breaking up as it does. Temperature-wise, will be cold enough for a touch of frost through the northeast, but elsewhere around about 4 or 5 Celsius, and it will feel cold first thing tomorrow morning. So especially across the northeast where we'll see a touch of frost, some early sunshine. We still have the legacy of that front lying across western Scotland and some of that cloud further south and east as well. That will start to move south and eastwards, pooling away, and then it brightens up. We'll see a cluster of quite heavy showers moving into Shetland with an occasionally fresh wind here, but I think it promises to brighten up for Orkney. Caithness will see some hazy sunshine, as will much of eastern Scotland. Temperatures 5 to 7, around about what we'd expect at this time of year, but winds will be light across the board. Still a legacy of that front lying across the very far south, maybe the odd shower embedded within it. Low cloud over the southern uplands. I think some sunshine for Kintyre, the Clyde coast, but more in the way of cloud, with more frontal cloud moving into the northwest with some showery outbreaks of rain here by the end of the afternoon once again. Into tomorrow evening, where we'll see clear skies in the east once again, almost weather on repeat here, with showers coming into western Scotland and northern Scotland as well. Again, cold enough for a touch of frost across the northeast and parts of eastern Scotland. Now, I think on Wednesday, a lot of dry weather around, a fair amount of cloud as well. There'll be some breaks in that cloud up across the northeast and across eastern Scotland, but showers in the west with thicker cloud here, and more in the way of showers too across northern Scotland. Now, all change as we head towards the end of the week. We have a really powerful jet stream coming out of North America, and that is going to fuel low pressure systems coming our way. All the ingredients are there for a very angry low pressure system to barrel towards us, bringing a swathe of really strong winds and some stormy conditions as well by the end of the week. It really is one to keep an eye on the forecast for. There are already warnings in place, but these will start to update as the week progresses. That's your forecast.
Thank you, Judith. And that's it. Enjoy your evening. Bye for now.